You are listening to the official Reg Voice podcast brought to you by Dr. Mona Al-Musli, Managing Director and Co-Founder at PRA Consultancy. Stay tuned for authentic conversations which will be addressed by healthcare experts from industry and regulatory authorities, emphasizing on recent industry topics, issues, and challenges. Reg Voice. Explore, inspire, learn.
Hello everyone. As I always say, Regulatory Affairs Department is the heart of the organization. And if it is doing well, then all the other departments also will do well. I am Mona Al-Musli, co-founder and managing director of PRA Consultancy. This is the first episode of Reg Voice podcast, and this time in the next 30 minutes, we will be talking about the current regulations of medical devices in Oman. All details about registration, importations, and a lot more.
Now, with a great honor, I would like to introduce our expert guest, Engineer Faiza Zadjali, Director of Medical Devices Control at Ministry of Health Oman since 2016. She has worked in Oman Ministry of Health in various posts for the total of 19 years, covering assessments and procurement of medical technologies, their contracts, upgrades, and replacement. She had also worked in different hospitals as a head of engineering department. In 2014, she was awarded the Master of Science in Maintenance Engineering and Assets Management from University of Manchester, and her BSc was from Bradford University in Medical Engineering, which has completed in 2000.
Welcome to Reg Voice, Engineer Faiza.
Thank you, Dr. Mona. I'm very glad to be with you today. And thank you for the introduction. It's been, thank you so much. It's been some time in the Ministry of Health, and I'm glad that I'll be in service to help medical device regulation to be one step ahead, inshallah, in all Gulf countries and Oman especially. Thank you.
Inshallah, thank you. So I will start, as many of us are aware, in the new gazette number 1535. So 1353 was issued the last August 2020. We would like to know when this will be implemented effective, and is there a grace period that we will give it to the companies to complete the registration by that time?
Regarding the new gazette and the ministerial decree which followed, we are actually undergoing the preparation of the implementation timeline in view of this gazette. This, as everybody knows, includes a complete chapter on the registration of medical device establishment and products. And this has been introduced for the first time in Oman. So we are carefully trying to manage the expectations of the industry, and we did not put any timelines at the moment, but when it is ready, we will share it with everyone. And please be sure that us as regulator, we want to work with industry to ensure the smooth access of medical devices to our markets. So there is no timelines at the moment to be shared. It will be announced in due course.
And with the current situation, will they be able to register the product, or it will be just as it is till the new announcement?
So regarding the registration, the timeline will have a registration. One of the milestones will be registration, but because we did not put the dates as to speak, or the months exactly, so that I cannot share it at the moment, but there will be a registration. It will be next year. We are hoping for the first quarter to start the registration. But the first step in the timeline will be the import control. This will be prior. It will start before registration, inshallah.
Well, it's a lot of work, mashallah. Great job. Yeah. And doctor, what about the files that are ready now for registration, are they going to get an appointment from Ministry of Health? Will people be able to do that now?
So actually, this is quite tricky. Moving from unregulated market to regulated market is not easy. And there is, we did a listing. So many of the attendees and participants may know that. The listing showcased that we have more than 150,000 medical devices in the market. So having to register them just by accepting the files is not something really wise to do.
Well,
so
it's a huge work, yes.
Yeah, it's a huge work, and we are thinking about having to do as according to the WHO guidelines and other regulatory bodies guidelines when they started, is to start with high risk medical devices, which makes a lot of sense, and move forward from there. So this is our plan. Yeah,
we will be having a classifications and category for registrations, you mean?
Yes. So there will be a classification according to the risk category. So the classification will be according to the risk. So the highest risk, we will prompt the registration earlier. And also, we're working on something which is going to help the industry a lot and help us also. Is we're going to classify the categories in two categories also, which is the ones which has an approval. Since Oman has mutual recognition with the other regulatory authorities approvals, so we will have some sort of fast track for the things which already have an approval somewhere else, which we will announce, and that will make things much easier for industry, inshallah.
And what about the impact of EU Mdr? Will that also, how we are going to handle that in the gazette?
Right. So the new MDR actually will affect the notified bodies, and the notified bodies are the ones who are, issuing the certificates. So we are in terms with what's happening with the MDR, and I think it's also delaying because of the pandemic now. And it will change the landscape of regulatory system in all the European manufacturers, and so many of our devices are from Europe. So to speak about that, we will embrace gradually the changes in terms of certificates. I mean, all the certificates with an extended validity, we will accept them. But however, saying that, we need all the establishments to prepare themselves for the changes, because it will be saturated by time by all the other regulators in the world.
So with that, Dr. Faiza, so the listing will be still used till you go with a further registration announcement for the product, right?
Yes. Yeah. The listing is something which is ongoing. We started it 1.5 years ago. The listing is done for data gathering and to understand what devices are there in the market. But there is something which is very important the listing is going to do, because it's going to be a prerequisite for the import controls. Yeah.
Great. What will be, in case the registration is effective and people will be registered, what will be the manufacturer registration regulation? Will we be able as a companies to register the manufacturer with the product at the same time, or we have to register the manufacturer first?
Well, it can be done in parallel. It can be done in parallel. Yes.
And what will be the validation of the registration for each manufacturer and product registration?
So typically we are thinking 5 years now. Registration will be valid once it's approved for 5 years, as long as the certificates. So for example, somebody has applied for something with a 3-year validation certificate. So we will give it 5 years, but in case under the condition that they will apply for the renewed certificate after 3 years.
They will submit the renewed certificates. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about the labeling requirements? Will be is it the same as a professional hospital? Will be guidelines that will be related to labeling, specific things that should be done, especially with what's going on with the track and trace and all this?
The labeling or labeling is one of the requirements of the registration. Actually, we are harmonizing our requirements with the GCC requirements and with other regulatory authorities. So labeling will be one of the prerequisites for registration. Regarding the track and trace, we are not going to enforce it at the moment. I know some of it is coming from manufacturers in the US and the EU, which is mandatory now to have the UDI system. But at the moment, for our market, we are not considering to put it a compulsory thing because we understand the scope of the market at the moment. So we want to be lenient at the beginning. But in future, maybe yes.
Okay. Well, while preparing for this podcast, a lot of people was asking me, are you planning to go with the registration with an online system as per Ministry of Health of Oman, or still not decided?
Yeah, I'm glad to ensure everybody that there is an online portal. It is ready, but we need to test it. And inshallah, the submission will be done online. Inshallah.
Any dates we can get from you or no?
So we are planning by the beginning of this year. This is the optimistic view. We are planning for the beginning of the year to start testing the system, the online system. But I'm not really 100% sure. Like I said, it's a testing phase, and once it's ready, we'll allow the companies to use it, inshallah.
Inshallah. Will we have a different requirements of registration and different documentation for medical devices as per medical devices and medical devices with a medical substance?
Right. So as everybody knows that the medicated medical device, as so to speak, is under the drug control department in Oman. But actually some of them are medical devices in other parts of the world. So we're trying to, as much as possible, harmonize the requirements for registration of the medicated medical device, which are medical devices. The only thing which will be different is the assessors, maybe pharmacists, and from the drug control department, and not from the medical device control department.
Great. Talking about the medical devices with the substance, one of the important medical devices with a medical substance nowadays in the market is the fillers. So the fillers will be classified as a medical device by Ministry of Oman. And what will be the stability? Is it registered under medical devices department? And what will be the zone stability study required for that?
So the medicated medical devices actually is under drug control department, and is the ones which are with the substance and with the medicines or ingredients. They are not under our scope as medical device department, although the names are the same. But yeah, the way of processing or assessing them. So at the beginning, everything is gonna stay the same. So they will be managed by the drug control department. I'm not sure if they're doing stability studies on them. I mean, I know hyaluronic fillers are analyzed by the quality control lab. So some of the things are being dealt with as a drug. Some of these things are not dealt with as drugs. So maybe at this time, I cannot give you the complete answer because it's not under my department. But maybe with time, we will see some changes towards more stringent regulatory measures for the medicated medical devices.
So, Doctor, you are saying that the medical devices will be registered either under the department that you are managing, which related to only engineering and non-medical substance related, or if it has any ingredients, it will be under the pharma. However, the classification will be a medical device. This is what you are saying, right?
I don't want to confuse you, but or the establishments, the application still, there will be definitely a registration for the medical devices, whether they are with substance or without. There is definitely a registration. Who's gonna assess them? Yeah. At the moment, with substance, will go to drug department. Without substance, will be ours. Okay. So yeah.
So the process now to submit these files are to take an appointment or submit them by email, or how is it, especially with the corona restrictions?
For us, for medical device department, we are not receiving the registration yet because we did not prompt for it. But I think the medical devices with substances, they're already receiving the registration the way that they're doing it, which is a hard copy or in dossier format. For us, inshallah, the registration will be in the online portal. This is what we're aiming.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Wallahi, it's a lot of job, mashallah. And what about the legalization of the document? Will you accept the apostille, or it will keep a legalization on during this time as well?
No, we will accept apostille, inshallah.
Inshallah. This is a great news as well. And also, we would like to ask you today about the importation process. So now, since the registration is not yet on, if we would like to import, we are using actually the people in Oman who is already registered, their product are listed under a commercial company, not a medical stores, and they are importing via their companies. Will they able to stay as it is till you get a new confirmation on registration, or how it will go?
Right. So regarding the current situation and the importation, so the importation, when it starts by the beginning of the year, inshallah, it will be, we will not interrupt the market access, whether it's right or wrong, because it's not in our favor or the importer's favor. We will allow some time for everybody to understand what is regulation, because there are so many other establishments which do not understand this one, and they are bringing items which they are not the local agent for. And this is a problem that we understand about and we know, but we will ensure that things will go smooth at the beginning. There may be no changes, and there be not many requirements apart from the listing prior to clearance. So the things will stay as they are for the beginning of the time, and then we will gauge what kind of intervention us as a regulator should do.
And the registration will stay under a commercial company, or they will be having the registration, they have to do the registration under a medical stores or a medical entity?
See, this definition of a medical store is much more related to drug control. So us as for medical devices, there must be a store. There must be an appropriate store which stores this medical device according to manufacturers. Yeah.
Manufacturers. But it will be under the commercial aspects.
At the moment, we have both. We have some of the medical device establishment which has a store which is not a medical store, it's a store, and the others which are commercial. But part of the bylaws is to do the inspections on these establishments to understand if they are abiding by the regulation requirements, which is to have a store. Yeah. But at the moment, it will go parallel, yes.
And what about the importation process? Can you tell us more about that?
So the importation, we are planning to start from 1st of January 2021. Okay. It will be online. It will require listing. So the data must be available with us. It will require the full details of the manufacturer, full details of the invoice, and details where these items are going, and batch details and so forth. So there is some minimum requirements, which is this information, and there will be no attachments, which is compulsory, other than the ones that I mentioned. Yeah.
Fantastic. And what about the machines that are related to sanitizing machines? Are they under Ministry of Health, or they are under a different department? You don't register them, or how's the regulation about them?
So regarding sanitizers, it's a big topic which has been there for since the COVID started.
Sure.
And actually the sanitizers, some of them are classified as medical devices. Very few of them. The ones which are used to sanitize medical devices are medical devices, but the rest is not.
So it doesn't go under Ministry of Health, maybe a different authority.
No. I was talking about the perspective of medical device, but us as Ministry of Health, the regulatory body, We are receiving the sanitizers requests, and there's some minimum requirements, and they are analyzed actually in our quality control laboratory.
Oh, okay. So they have to go through a procedure with Ministry of Health to get the approval to import them and work with them.
Yes, they do. Yes.
Okay. And regarding Engineer Faiza, regarding the requirements of the registration, where people can get it from?
So the registration, when is the question I cannot answer because we are preparing them at the moment. And why we are taking time, because we want to do the fast track pathway, which will help everybody to realize the access to all the registration and to market their devices freely. Okay. So we are trying to make them available as soon as possible, and everything will be published very soon, inshallah. And these guidelines are under revision at the moment, so please bear with us.
The last question, or before the last question, will be: is the audit report will be mandatory like Saudi?
Probably, yeah, because if the high-risk devices, so one of the discussions we were having is if the high-risk device does not have any regulatory approvals from the reference countries we are putting, it is a must to have an audit report. If it has a reference country approval, for example, if it is already approved in Saudi Arabia, we will approve it in the fast track way, but we still need the documents. We will still need the documents, because us as a regulatory body, this is our right to have the documents and review them in case if there's any problems with the manufacturer, if there's any post-market reports, and so forth. Yeah, and so fast track is there, but we still will require documentations.
And will the requirements consider the requirements as per MDR and IVDR as well?
Well, let's say if because we are having more than one registration guideline, one will be the full technical assessment. It will almost be like the MDR, but we will try to be as smooth as possible. We will have, we are starting regulation. We cannot enforce it just from one day and the next day give us a full technical assessment.
It's a lot.
Yeah. It's a big process, and we understand it, and we want to cooperate. We want the industry to cooperate with us, and we also want to cooperate with them to make it a win-win situation. So that's why there is more than one guideline. The only thing which we'll be strict about is the devices which do not have any reference country approval and are not manufactured in a reference country and are high risk. These are the ones we may ask for the complete dossier for them.
Okay. So my last question to you, Engineer Faiza, is there any thoughts that you would like to share with us and our audience to know more about the Oman medical device registration in Oman?
Yeah. I would love, first of all, I would like to congratulate all of you for attending, because you're interested to understand what's coming up. And it's really important to gather this kind of momentum for the changes which are upcoming. The changes which are upcoming are going to be changing the industry. And I would like to reassure everybody that it's in our interest as yours to have an uninterrupted supply of medical devices, especially in this time. The pandemic has affected the healthcare system. There is requirements and realization about the medical device importance. So it is in our interest, as well as industry, to have a smooth market access. But also I would like, I would like for everyone to be rest assured that we'll do our best as a regulatory body to help the industry. And also I would like this to happen from industry side, is to be aware of what's coming up, to read about it, to inquire about it, to ask about it. We are here to help you. And also to bear with us, because it's not easy to transpose from unregulated market to regulated. We cannot do it without the industry's help. I want you to be aware. I want you to read about it, and if you have any suggestions, we're open to hear them. As I said, this is the same. We both have the same intention, which is the patient's health and the availability of the best efficient medical devices.
As you said, it's not an easy job, and to regulate unregulated market, it's a lot of work that you and your team are doing. We would like to thank you for all this. It was certainly a wonderful, knowledgeable transfer session today, only because of your support and time. I'm sure that all the listeners did like that and get valuable information that you have shared with us. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mona. I'm very happy to share this information. And inshallah, we are planning to do some awareness workshops, virtual workshops in the coming few months regarding the updates, which is going to happen, inshallah. So we are under preparation and under a lot of pressure to prepare these things. But really, it is one of our goals. One of our KPIs is awareness. We will, once we plan them, inshallah, we will let everybody understand when is it going to happen, and we'll try to answer all of your queries, bi'idhnillah. Thank you, Dr. Mona. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was the REG Voice for October 2020. Please stay tuned for the next one, will be November 2020. To know more about it, please follow up on our social media at PRA Consultancy, and whenever you share it, please hashtag REG Voice. Thank you very much, and nice having you all today.